Hey everybody, Peter Zeihan coming to you here from Detroit. Today we're going to talk a little bit about trade and reshoring. Now, the United States has been in the midst of its greatest industrialization period since at least World War II, and I would actually argue that the pace of that reindustrialization is faster than what we went through at World War II. The reasons are threefold. Number one, people are starting to think of security as an issue and timeliness of deliveries. Trump helped with that. COVID helped with that. Disruptions because of the Ukraine war are helping with that. Second, because of the shale revolution, the United States has the lowest energy prices in the world in terms of oil as well as electricity, and that makes it kind of important from a processing and a manufacturing point of view. And third is workforce. Despite all the issues that the United States is facing, they're nothing compared to what's going on in the rest of the world.
Reshoring involves bringing manufacturing and services back to or closer to a firm's home country from overseas, often from China to the US, Mexico, or Canada. The growth of reliance on supply chains in Asia has canceled out the active reshoring activity seen in 2018 and 2019 when the US-China trade war hit American manufacturers with import tariffs of up to 25%. But starting in the last quarter of 2020, reliance on China diminished to 55% from 66% in 2018 as other Asian low-cost countries began to recover from the coronavirus pandemic. Peter Zeihan explores the options available for the US, especially Detroit, when investors and industries resume investment in the automotive sectors. Let us get into the video.
Our baby boomer cadre is about a quarter smaller relative to global norms compared to everybody else. So when they retire, that's a problem, but it's not as much of a problem as elsewhere. And the United States has a large millennial cohort, which most of the world just simply lacks. So whether it's for workers or for consumption, the United States is where it's at. Which brings me to Detroit. This behind me right there, that is the Ambassador Bridge linking Windsor, Ontario with the Motor City. And that one bridge is the densest tradeway for international exchange in the world, handling roughly 1/3, I believe, of all trade between Canada and the United States. Motor City is obviously called Motor City because it makes a lot of cars, and that bridge handles a lot of the intermediate products that shuttle back and forth across the border between Ontario and Michigan. I expect Detroit to be one of the cities to benefit a lot from the investment that is going to come in from the rest of the world in terms of building out the industrial supply chains, specifically for automotive. Now, the city obviously has challenges. That's going to be the topic of something else, I think. But what to look for? There are three types of investment. The first is portfolio, going into things like stocks and bonds. That really doesn't help Detroit directly. The second is foreign direct investment, where foreign companies come in and set up major operations. That is not something that benefits most of the auto sector in the pre-existing industrial plants in places like Detroit or, say, Houston, but instead favors places where there's underutilized workforces like, say, the American South. And the third is just plain old generic, boring domestic expansion. In the world we are rapidly moving to, the Chinese system is breaking down for a mix of reasons, ranging from political incompetence and mismanagement to energy shortages to trade sanctions. All of those benefit Detroit. We're also seeing a breakdown of the German system because without the energy imports that form the basis of their electricity and petrochemicals model, the rest of the manufacturing doesn't work at all. All this is fantastic for a place that already has a pre-existing industrial base for the sort of industries that need to relocate. Obviously, automotive is going to be the big beneficiary, but also look for things like heavy machinery. We have a shortage in capacity for manufacturing in the United States for things like farming equipment, industrial equipment, mining equipment, construction. And generally, they are produced in similar zones to automotive because in many ways, you're just talking about a more advanced and larger, heavier, more powerful version of your, quote, normal car. Detroit, Detroit, Detroit. The other place to watch, of course, is Houston, where the Gulf Coast meets the Texas Triangle, meets Mexico. Houston might benefit more overall, but it's also, excuse me, a much larger city. Detroit is the place where the outsized benefit is likely to be felt most acutely. Anyway, after 20, 30, 40 years of rough times in Detroit, I think the macroeconomic winds globally are benefiting it in a huge way. And the next 30 years should be very interesting in a good way. That's it from me. Until next time.
There is a big shortage of manufacturing big machinery for sectors like agriculture, mining, and construction in the US. The macroeconomic winds are blowing in favor of Detroit at this time, and we may see more production in that part of the US. The world is moving on fast in terms of economic, technological, and energy advancements, and this is just an example of such improvement. These speculations may not be visible until another decade or two, but developments such as this take time. Let us know your opinions in the comments section below. Also like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.